Hello and welcome to JCPod. I'm your host, Jane Chandler Parnell, and hey man, we had another good weekend of football. A lot of crazy action that happened, some wacky upsets, some wild finishes, especially in the college world. There was wild finishes led in the weekend. I mean, it was a really, really wild weekend of football. That's the best way to put it. Basically what we're going to do, for those of you who are new, or both of you, and for those of you who aren't new, we're going to do what we usually do on on Tuesdays. I'm way ahead of myself already this week. We're going to usually do what we do on Tuesdays. Just keep it simple. We're just going to go over everything that happened this weekend between the NFL, college football, baseball. Speaking of college basketball, though, something else I'm excited about. I'm going to have my buddy on, Rowan Donahue, a.k.a. Rowan Dives, a.k.a. Captain by Hook. He'll be coming on the show hopefully here soon to give out some of his college basketball plays. And then hopefully I'm going to be having him on a lot more for the season. Especially college basketball. That's mainly his sport. That's his stuff. So my goal is hopefully I'm going to have him on a lot more during the season, working on that stuff out in the rough. But yeah, that's getting worked on. That's rough draft territory right now. We're getting pretty close. So I'll keep everyone updated the more I know. But yeah, basically today it's just going to be NFL news, college football news, and reactions. And then baseball, baby. Let's hop right into it. We're going to go over first from the Thursday night game. Basically what I learned from that. Broncos are a weird team. It was a division game. They still haven't beat the Chiefs. Chiefs were actually able to cover a game. It wasn't the game everyone thought it would be. The Broncos kept it a little bit close. Russell Wilson had like 95 yards for two interceptions, one passing touchdown. I don't know if he ended the game with it, but he definitely had a lower passer rating than Kadarius Toney at one point. Kadarius Toney was just 0 for 2. Really, really weird game for the Broncos and the Chiefs. Chiefs ended up winning 19 to whatever. I think it was 19 to 8 or something like that. Just as a very weird game in general. Seems like a lot of these Thursday night games are with shorter game plans and everything. So you added the division game fact to that game as well. That's just a weird game all around. So good win for the Chiefs though. They were able to cover for us and for the people. So that's really something awesome we love to see. Because lately they haven't been covering. So and that game was in danger of them not covering as well. But they had a late play that helped with that. So that was really awesome there. So shout out to the Chiefs for that. Moving on now, we'll go to the London game. I mean, I won't lie, there's not too much to talk about in that Chiefs. Not too much to talk about in that Chiefs-Broncos game. Shout out to Travis Kelce for getting over 100 yards. Mahomes played all right. Can play better. Rashee Rice looks like he's going to be a guy. He's probably going to be the one to separate himself away from the rest of the Chiefs receivers. And then when it comes to the Broncos, I mean, the Broncos are probably going to be sellers. They're 1-5. I don't know. They play the Packers this week. It's going to be, pick-em-wise, it's going to be a tough week. I can already tell you. I did a little bit of a look ahead, and I'm nervous, boy. But yeah, for this game, I mean, not much to talk about. I think Broncos are just going to try. Sean Payton's going to try to get his guys, I think, over the next season or so. So pretty much, I think a lot of this year is going to be selling off guys he doesn't want and flipping them in, vice versa, a bunch of that stuff. So next we'll go to the London game between the Ravens and Titans. Another team that covered. Shout out the Ravens. They were able to cover the -4 that we took earlier on in the week. But past that, I mean, it was just a really weird game. Ryan Tannehill's dealing with another injury. He's dealing with the same injury he had last year to his ankle. I will touch on that more after I do all the reactions. I'll go over some more NFL news. There might be a thing or two I missed, but I'm going to try to cover all the stuff I remember. I have a lot of it written down. I should be able to get to most of everything, I believe. So we'll see. I hope so. My biggest takeaway from this game was there was a few big penalties to help Tennessee be able to keep it close. But other than that, their offense looked really shaky. For the Ravens, they just couldn't. They still can't finish drives for whatever reason. That's really weird. I mean, Justin Tucker's field goals, 41. That's that one. Yep, that's a long one. He earned that one. Then it's 28, 23, 29, 20, and 36. That 36 one I'm okay with. It's like, all right, that one. But yeah, it was honestly just really shocking how they weren't able to finish drives and everything. I was just kind of blown away. I thought they'd be able to finish a few more drives. They just weren't able to. As for the Titans, the offense continues to struggle. We saw Malik Willis for a little bit. We might be seeing him again, it sounds like. I don't know what. Like I said, Ryan Tannehill's dealing with some of the same ankles issues he has been dealing with, so I don't know what that means for his playing ability now for next week's game. But yeah, shout out to the Ravens. Big win in London. I mean, I can't really take away from. They had a good win. The Titans were able to backdoor a little bit late, but it ended weird a little bit, obviously, for some of the Titans 5.5 bettors when they took the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. That was a little. I'll admit that one was a little funky. I won't lie. That felt like a good sigh of relief when they kicked the field goal there. But I mean, they probably did it because of analytics. But analytics don't tell you that the Titans haven't gotten an onside kick in 10 years. So Like I said, though, I can't blame them. I mean, with the situation, they were just they needed the ball back twice anyway, so why not try to just get some points while you're in the position and then do the onside. Can't blame them at all, but like I said, big win for the Ravens. Lamar didn't look the best. He still looked pretty good. So I think they're still building towards something because I don't think we've seen their best football just yet. And then for the Titans, they're going to be dealing with some injuries. It's going to start getting a little bit scary for the Titans because they're starting to become a little bit of a weird team now. Next, we'll go to the Colts. Colts Jaguars. I don't need to talk about this too much. Gardner Minshew threw 4 interceptions, I think, in his return to Jacksonville. Didn't look too good. The Colts, just in general, I mean, I can't even really blame their defense too much, honestly. I had their defense in fantasy. That was a tough one. I mean, Gardner gave the Jags, I think, the ball like 2 or 3 times. I think 2 or 3 there we go, of his interceptions were basically in the Jaguars' red zone. He didn't even get past his own 30, and he threw a pick. And then I think they basically scored touchdowns on those instantly. So when that happens, I mean, you're in a tough one. It was just not really. It's just a weird game, bad game for the Colts, kind of too. I mean, Michael Pittman had a day receiving wise. He did pretty good. Etienne had a decent day on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 55 yards. Trevor Lawrence is hurt. That's the biggest thing for this game. He hurt his knee going into the next game, so they play on Thursday against the Saints. That's going to be a really. I won't lie to you. I hate to say it. I'll get back to my thing in a minute about talking about Trevor Lawrence, but talking quick look ahead to Thursday. That's going to be a tough game to bet for me. I'm not going to lie to you, especially if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play. That might, dude, I don't know. For my health, I might not be able to bet that Thursday night game. But no, Trevor Lawrence did something to his knee. It sounds like it's either a bone bruise or. I mean, it's nothing major at all. It's just they have a bye week upcoming after this week, so that's the only temptation I would feel like they had to sit him. Is that, hey, we had a bye week upcoming. Let's try to keep our guy a little bit healthy, but we'll see. I think potentially he'll play. There's a chance he's play. I think it's like a 60-40, 50-50, something like that. I mean, it just depends on how serious it is, and it's not very serious at all. So it just depends also too on if they're very cautious or if they just think they should go ahead and play him. But yeah, basically, yeah, that was a big division win for the Jaguars. Jaguars now swept the Colts, and the biggest thing for the Colts as well, Anthony Richardson might be out for the year with surgery. Jim Irsay says he doesn't believe he's going to come back. I hope that's maybe them just pump faking the public to get everyone to plan for the Colts with Minshew. But I think that boy ain't going to play potentially, which is very frustrating, and it just sucks because he needed a year. Now we basically just got to go year 1.1 next year, which is just, it's frustrating, but hopefully, I mean, it's not horrible for the Colts. Defensively, they need a few more DBs. They still get kind of tossed and turned around on the DB situation, but might be good for the Colts in the long run, especially for the mental side of his game, potentially. Just very frustrating. I hope that boy drinks some milk, man. We need his bone strong. We'll go next to the Cardinals-Rams. That's the next one on my list. So we're going to bounce around time slots a little bit. Rams get a big win, 26-9. This game was basically 6-9 going into halftime. Then Cardinals basically got shut down the whole second half. Shout out to the Rams. Cooper Kupp had a massive day. Matt Stafford threw for 228 yards. 148 of them were to Cooper Kupp. Kyren Williams had 158 yards on the ground. But the big issue with this game is now there's going to be no Kyren Williams, it sounds like, next week. No, who's his backup? No Ronnie Rivers next week as well. He seems to be hurt. So it seems like it's going to be the Zach Evans show when it comes to the running back situation for the Rams. There's a lot of injuries this week. This was a big, big week for injuries. But yeah, the Rams are going to lose both the running backs, it sounds like, for next week. So that's kind of scary. But in this game, it was a good win. Cardinals were feisty for a bit, but at the end of the day, they weren't really able to hold on just long enough. The offense finally woke up for the Rams. They were able to do something. But like I said, pretty much all of Stafford's passing yards were to Cooper Kupp. He looked explosive. Also, shout out to Cooper Kupp for the Nasty Boy. If you guys have been following along with my articles on Stare Down Sports, we've been 2 or 3 NFL Nasty Boys close to having big days. We just missed them, and then finally we hit one this last Sunday. Cooper Kupp was the last leg of it we needed to hit, so when he scored in the third quarter, that was a very relieving feeling. That was it was very, very relieving. But yeah, shout out to the Rams. Big win for them. Another division win as well. They are really impressive. They're 3-3. Cardinals are still 1-5, but they've continued. This is probably, I want to say, the worst they maybe look, but it's a division game, so that kind of makes sense as well. So they'll probably both those teams will look to bounce back next week. I don't know bye situations just yet. We'll talk about that potentially a bit later. Commanders, Falcons. Desmond Ridder has 300 yards. Sam Howell has 3 touchdowns. Desmond Ridder has 3 interceptions. Sam Howell has 0, and that was basically the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing in the game. Desmond Ridder showed some promise, but he just threw the 3 interceptions, so that really killed them. Of course, I was finally. So I just talked about on the show. I've been talking about all week how I'm gonna ride Ridder at home, man. He's so undefeated at home. He proved it last year. He's done it so far this year, and it lasted all about one game. Got 1 win off it last week, and then a loss this week. So I was like, oh, okay, that was a fun ride. But yeah, there's not. This was just a fun football game to watch in general. If you got to watch it, it was really. It wasn't anything spectacular. Like it wasn't, a barn burning 50-49 game with hundreds of highlight plays. But this was just a good football game. This was just. There's still some back and forth here and there. Felt like the Falcons had the ball 4 times with a chance to win it. They just weren't able to get anything done for whatever reason. Every time it was just either an interception or they just couldn't score. Artie Smith looked like he aged like 15 years on the sideline. He was very frustrated with some of the plays being made. Just sucks. It's part of having a young quarterback. And you know how the NFL is with everybody. They want to rush everybody out the second they can if they aren't good. So I'm not totally giving up on Desmond Ridder, but that was a game where it's like, man, you hate to see games like that because he definitely had a chance to win it and he could have changed around how people thought about him a little bit, but instead, young guy moment that happens. We'll see. It just feels like the Falcons. It feels like the Falcons should be better than 3-3, honestly, in a few of these games they've played in, but. Hey, they're still surviving in a division that seems like anybody can win. So can't say much about that. But hey, shout out to the Commanders, man. They're 3-3 as well. They're fighting along. They ain't doing too bad, honestly. Howell bounced back from having a bad game last week and had a not too bad a game this week. Only threw 151 yards, but when you have 3 touchdowns, pretty good. Next game, this is the first shocker of the weekend. Cleveland Browns upsetting the 49ers. Wow. The 49ers basically just didn't come to play. It came down to a late field goal that Jake Moody missed for the 49ers. It felt like you should have got him a little bit closer. They were kind of content with the 41-yard field goal. I thought it was like 30-something yards originally, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Because the way they were kneeling, I guess I just didn't see the field position exactly right. But I saw them getting ready to set up for a kneel, and I was watching it with my uncle, grandpa, and I was just talking to them about okay, it seems like they're setting up for a field goal. This is probably in his range, and I saw it's 41. And for those of you people who don't know, it's pretty hard to kick in Cleveland because of the winds and the swirling. I think a lake effect affects the stadium. I believe it's one of the few stadiums in NFL that does, if I'm not mistaken. So seeing something like that, it's like, oh man, 41 yards. They must really think he can make this, huh? And then he ends up just pushing it right. But it was just a weird game in general, man. Weird weather game. The 49ers weren't able to get fully for sure anything going. Christian McCaffrey scores again, though. Shout out to him. But he has a hurt oblique, and Deebo Samuel has a hurt shoulder. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, assuming once I double check to see if there's any updated news on it. Because as of right now, I don't know what their situation is going to be for Sunday. But yeah, it's kind of scary, man. For the 49ers, that was just I guess that was just the scary part about it, I guess, is the injuries to Deebo and Christian McCaffrey. That's going to be the really scary part of it. But other than that, it just felt like it was one of those games where they just didn't have it. They played a bad game, kind of, which I guess is just nice to all of us to know that, hey, the 49ers are a human football team as well. They can have some bad games. It just all was. It's kind of like a bad game offensively. Brock Purdy only had 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. P.J. Walker had 192 yards with 2 interceptions. It's just offensively, they just couldn't get anything going, really, for the 49ers. So it's kind of like the causes them to have a bad game. But shout out to the Browns, man. That was a big win. Browns have only allowed, I don't know the exact number, but it's under 1,100. I think it's about 1,093. It's like 63, 73, 83. It's about that range, 93. It's about in that range. But that's how many, we'll just go with 73 to 93 range. That's the amount of yards that the Browns defense has led up through this amount of weeks of the NFL season, and that is the fewest amount since 1972. 72, that is crazy. That is a long, long time ago. Potentially that might be, I'm pretty sure, the 72 Dolphins team, if I had to guess. But Man, shout out to Cleveland defense. That defense is legit, man. That was what scared me a little bit in this game against the 49ers was how good that defense was, but I did not see this coming. I thought they'd be able to cover potentially, but I didn't think they'd steal the win. So shout out to Cleveland, man. C.J. Stroud finally threw his first interception, but they still won. He also had 2 touchdowns, 199 yards. Derek Carr had 353 yards and a touchdown, 1 interception. That is very stat sheet Philly. That's very, very, very misleading if you watch the game. Watching the game, it just felt like the Saints were... I don't want to say they were never in threat of winning, but it just felt like every time they had the ball, they just couldn't get anything done. Felt weird. Alvin Kamara had 19 carries for 68 yards. I think he also had like 8 receptions for 33 yards again. So the dump-off king, Derek Carr, doing his stuff again. This is one of those games, man. Saints just, I mean, it was just a really good win by the Texans, honestly. This was another one of those good football games. This was a little bit more lower scoring than the other one. But this was a really good football game. A good battle between both guys. Like I said, big thing. C.J. Stroud threw his first interception. Other than that, I don't think I have anything really else on this game that I noticed. I mean, just shout out to the Texans for a win. This was just one of those things. The Saints, Carr has big numbers, but I feel like it was very, very misleading. Especially for the way the game flow felt. Because I felt like when I saw them, they would get close to the red zone and then something bad would happen. No matter like what it was, something just bad seemed to happen. So I don't know. Very good win by the Texans, though. I just feel, after that game, I come away feeling really weird about the Saints, basically, is what. I just feel really weird about them now. Man, another shout out, the Miami Dolphins, man. Raheem Mostert has 11 touchdowns on the year. That might be Russian, boy. That might not be, that might just be in total. That might just be rushing, I think. Raheem Mostert, it's total. He has 9 rushing touchdowns already. His over-under was at 10. I don't remember if I gave it out or not. I don't think I did, but looking back on it, I kind of wish I did now, obviously. But, yeah, Panthers go up 14-0 to start the game. I remember I was at my grandparents watching the games this weekend. My uncle's sitting there, he's like, well, the Dolphins, man, the Dolphins. And I wish you people could have saw my face, man. I was not worried at all. I'm just sitting there, it's like, it's the Panthers, man. They're going to go up 14-0. Who knows? They'll probably end up letting down and not doing anything. Sure enough, Panthers go up 14-0. 2 ends up throwing 3 touchdowns, but Raheem Mostert scores. Jalen Waddle scores. Tyreek Hill scores. Raheem Mostert scores. Raheem Mostert scores. And then the Panthers don't score again until they get, like, basically a late pick 6 with 4:37 left. But offensively, man, the Panthers are a horror show. They finally are giving... Frank Reich's giving over play calling duties to whoever... I don't remember the dude's name. I wrote about it in an article I'll have coming out here in about... Probably... It might come out later tonight. I don't know if I'm doing it in the morning or in the night, but... Basically, yeah, they're moving on to offensive coordinator. Frank Reich said this was always the plan. I don't know how true that was. Maybe this was always the plan if he did horrible. So if that's the case, then yeah, that's probably a good guess, Reich. No, honestly, the Panthers just are bad, man. Dolphins get a good bounce back win. I mean, if any other better team going up 14-0 on the road, they just didn't do anything, man. I was able to get the Dolphins -1.5 live, -6.5 live. That felt amazing. I just can't believe like the Panthers really blew it. I mean, truly, the books basically were seceding like, oh yeah, the Panthers should win this game. So they just have major issues because I mean the Dolphins are basically down and out in the fight. Like they could have. Panthers had a chance to really put it away, and they just couldn't. And so that gave the Dolphins a chance to come back, which is a huge shout out to them. Tyreek Hill, really cool touchdown celebration. Raheem Mostert, 3 touchdowns total, 115 rushing yards on the ground. Tyreek Hill had 10 receptions for 163 and a touchdown. He's just so good. Shout out Adam Thielen, though. Another big game for him. But, yeah, this Panthers team's going to be probably a little bit different going into next week. I'm very curious to see how they do. Oh, they have a bye week. Sorry. They have a bye week this week. They're 0-6 going into the bye, looking to get some huge changes because they definitely need it. And shout out to the Dolphins, man. Going up 42-21, having a major win. Bengals, Seahawks, this is a big shout out to the Bengals defense. Bengals defense basically shut down Geno anytime he went into the red zone. This was a good back and forth kind of football game a little bit as well. And then in the end, like I said, yeah, the Bengals defense shut down Seattle 2 or 3 times in the red zone. They were huge plays by the defense. Shout out to them. Geno finished with 323 yards and 2 interceptions. Geno didn't have a horrible day. He just, anytime he got in the red zone, he wasn't able to finish, sadly. Meanwhile, the Bengals were able to do that. Joe Burrow only had 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Tyler Boyd was the leading receiver. This was just like a weird low-scoring game between 2 pretty good teams. I didn't come away like last game, for example, I came away pretty impressed with the Dolphins that they were able to wake up and flip the switch like that. That was what I was impressed with versus the Panthers. I was just not shocked at all. Not shocked at all that they blew another game. Just with Frank Reich as the head coach, I just don't believe in that team. So, like, nothing too much shocked me in this game. In that game, same with this game. I mean, this was just a good, low-scoring battle. The way the game ended up looking out, I feel good about both teams. I mean, I feel like the Seahawks had a chance to win. They just couldn't finish. And then for the Bengals, they had a chance to lose it, but they were able to hang on. So, I mean, if you look at it from that way from both sides, I feel like very, very good game from both teams. It just sucks that somebody has to lose that one. Bengals moved to 3-3, while the Seahawks are moving to 3-2 now. Vikings, Bears, I'm just going to blow past this game. I'm sorry. It was just not very good. Justin Fields is up hurt now, has a dislocated thumb, probably not going to play this week. You hate to see it, honestly. The second they brought in the Badgett guy, he basically fumbled the ball. He had a fumble 6 the second they brought him in. It was so funny. I was watching Red Zone to see this one. And I think it's I don't want to butcher his name. We'll look up his name. Tyson Badgett. Like Tyson Badgett comes in. He's a undrafted rookie. Blah blah from Shepherd. Goes on to say some other stuff, and it was a fumble 6 instantly. Welcome to the NFL, kid. I mean that can't get more welcoming than that. But yeah, basically this game, Kirk Cousins stunk it up. The Bears stunk it up. Jordan Addison received a touchdown that kind of saved his fantasy day. He had 3 receptions for 28 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's a stinky game by the Vikings that they were able to win. It's weird how Kirk Cousins has had his 2 worst offensive games, and they've won both games. Isn't that a little weird? I don't get it, but yeah, shout out to the Vikings. That was a big win there. Raiders, Patriots, I don't need to talk too much about this one either. Mac Jones didn't play the best. Jacoby Myers, shout out for the nasty boy. He was able to score as well. He was a big part of the nasty boy. He was, I think, the biggest odds of them all for sure, too. But yeah, for the most part, man, it was a big win by the Raiders. Mac Jones didn't do too much. Jimmy G ended up going to the hospital as well for some back issues that apparently aren't too bad, so I don't know what's going on with him. That's really weird. Hopefully I see some news on it as well when we go through. But yeah, Mac Jones, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Jimmy Garoppolo, 162, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jacobs got 77 on the ground. Jacoby Myers had the touchdown. I mean, it was just a weird... Brian Hoyer finished the game for the Raiders. There's a late chance where the Patriots might have had a chance to cover and do something, but Mac Jones ends up taking a sack safety after... Because, yeah, there was a roughing. It should have only been 13, but there was a roughing the passer. Yeah, basically, Max Crosby... By the way, Max Crosby's so good at football, man. That guy is really good. But, yeah, man, for most part, this game didn't end too special. I mean, Max Crosby basically... hit Mac Jones, I think, in the face or had a roughing the passer of some... I forget what he did, but he got a roughing the passer, so instead of a field goal, Patriots get a touchdown, and then they basically... I forget what Raiders did after that. I don't think they kicked a field goal. Yeah, they basically scored the touchdown. They got the ball back. Mac Jones took a sack, and then there goes the cover. Patriots are just an absolute mess this year. I just learned, too, recently. Bill Belichick, he's only, I think, 8 losses away from the most losses all time. And in the NFL, he might hit the most losses all time in the NFL before he hits the most wins. That is crazy to think about. I didn't even think that was a thing. I didn't know that was a possibility. But that's a real possibility now, so that's going to be weird. But shout out to the Raiders, man. Big win by them. Big win by the Raiders. Yeah, and then next game, Lions-Bucks. Shout out to the Lions defense, absolutely shutting down the Buccaneers. Shout out to Mike Evans. 49 receiving yards and 8 of 50. Hate to see it, man. You really do. That was pretty frustrating. God damn it, Mike. But no, overall, honestly, big win by the Lions, man. They're gonna lose. They might be losing Monty for a while, so it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, they can get Gibbs back because this is Jahmyr Gibbs' time now, man. They'll probably, assumingly, put in Greg Reynolds as well a little bit, but this is probably gonna be Jahmyr Gibbs' time, assuming that David Montgomery's gonna miss a little bit of time. Jared Goff, my boy, Jared Goff. Had 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. Garf had a really good day yesterday. Baker, 206 yards, 1 interception. Not the best day. Biggest thing from this game was the blocking, man. The Lions had some really awesome moments. I'm sure you've seen some highlights on YouTube or on Twitter if you've seen parts of this game. But if you haven't, I recommend looking it up. There's some amazing blocking done with the team. Like Craig Reynolds had a huge few blocks here and there. And then obviously you see the story from him in Hard Knocks about them almost wanting to cut him, but they talked about how big of a glue guy is and everything. I mean, he had some amazing blocks in the game. This was just, you see these Lions are playing for each other, man. This is like a truly special team. And honestly, like, they're legit. They are potential, like, Super Bowl contenders. That's not a joke. I mean, they legit might be Super Bowl contenders with how good they can play. And they got Jameson Williams back, who made a big, big play. I mean, this is a legit team, man. This is a very legit team. The other upset of the weekend, the big one, the Jets, man. How about them Jets? Jets, man. They beat the Eagles 20-14. Jalen Hurts plays his worst game ever as a pro. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 280 yards. Zach Wilson didn't lose in the game. Had 186 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Breece Hall, 39 carries, 1 touchdown. Garrett Wilson, 8 receptions for 90 yards. This is a really good game by the Jets, man. Defensively, they have a really good defense. Their defense just put it to the Eagles. Eagles had the pass, I think, 73% of the time, and that's not the key to success with them. You need Jalen Hurts to be doing a little bit more on the ground. So that's a big shout out to the Jets, man. The Jets put in a really good game plan, and they were able to do some stuff this week. Like I said, the Jets have been impressive, man. And the more you see Aaron Rodgers come back on the field, I mean, if they can make it to the playoffs, man, who's not to say Aaron Rodgers is able to play a little bit? I think him just coming back to the building too has really inspired this team. This team really looks like they're starting to make some noise. This was a huge win going into the bye as well. They go into the bye now after coming off beating the Eagles. I mean, if you watch the game, man, they had Jalen Hurts like out of whack, man. He played like out of himself. He made some throws that you usually don't see him make. I mean, Devontae Smith also had a really big drop. I mean, the Eagles just blew that game, man, a little bit. You're seeing a lot with some of these coaches now. They seem to struggle to hold leads. It's really weird. Coaching is at an all-time, like, I'm not saying anything about, I think Sirianni's still a good coach, by the way. It's just, you notice now, like, there's some coaching mishaps that have become a lot bigger as of recent. You've now starting to realize, like, hey, coaching really does matter, man. Like, you really need a good one to get something done. But, like, literally, but shout out to the Jets, man. Literally, they had a really good game. It was not much you can do. I mean, they made Jalen Hurts play so bad. I know I've said that a few times now, but like, I mean, I'm in disbelief, man. They made him look awful last night. I mean, that was crazy. They had him thrown into double coverage. They got a pick 6 off him, I think, almost. That basically led to a Breece Hall touchdown. I mean, they had him playing out of whack, man. Speaking of playing out of whack, the Bills win 14-9. The the Giants probably should have won that game. Tyrod Taylor, 200 yards, 0-0 for a touchdown, INTs. Josh Allen, 169 for 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Saquon Barkley had 93 on the ground. James Cook had 71 on the ground, but he was weirdly not starting. They started Latavius Murray, so I guess they made that transition. I don't know. That was weird. Truly. But Josh Allen just had a bad game, man. He's able to get the win, though, so that's all that really matters. But it was a bad game, man, for the Bills. I have no idea how the Giants didn't win that game. They probably should have had another pass interference call on the goal line. I mean, the guy was all over Darren Waller. They didn't call it, so the Bills were able to survive. I mean, I can't blame them. I can't blame the call either way, kind of, though. So, you understand it. But that was a weird game, man. I didn't bet on this game really at all. I had a little bit of propage action. But, like, I had an alternate spread of, like, 6.5 for the Bills in it. So I knew by game flow that stuff was pretty much over. It was just a horrible game, man. There was just horrible management from the Bills. There's horrible management from the Giants. They had an end of the half baffle that, he just checks to a run, but one, he's a veteran quarterback, probably should have known not to. Two, they probably should have taken away the check to the run. I don't know. It was just really weird ending of the half, but I will give credit, though. There is something about these coaches and them facing former teams they worked at. I mean, Brian Daboll came in there with a pretty good plan. I mean, the Giants had no business being in that game. This was a 15.5-point spread, and it literally came down to the final play. The Giants could have won on the final play. They get all the way down to the goal on the 1-yard line, man. The 1-yard line, and they just weren't able to get it in. I can't believe they don't do a QB sneak there or something like that. That just shows, that just shows how beat up or bad their offensive line is, that they just don't trust to do a QB sneak on the goal line. Because you got to think about it. If that's the Eagles, they're 100% doing that. I bet you if you ask majority of the teams in that situation, if they felt confident in their own line, they would do a QB sneak no matter what. So that just shows you a little bit about their line. I know it's missing the match and everything. They had straight off the couch Pugh playing tackle, literally right off the couch. This was just a weird game, man. So shout out to the Giants. They played really competitive, but they're 1-5 now. Their seasons. They need to beat the Commanders bad next week. Or their season's gonna start getting. I mean, their season's basically already gotten away from them, but it might get worse if they don't get a win next week. But shout out to the Bills. They were able to win an ugly game. And then speaking of ugly, the Chargers, man. I text my buddy Rowan about this. I literally sent him the text. I can't wait at the end of the night to be pissed that the Chargers find a way to somehow blow this game. The Chargers find a way to somehow blow the game. It was pretty depressing, man. Dak Prescott rallies them in the fourth a little bit. He had 272 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Herbert, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception came late to losing the game, basically. I mean, it was... Man, I'm just trying to think of what I pulled away from that game, but I don't think I really learned much of anything. I felt like the Chargers defense just couldn't get a stop on third down when they needed to, and that sucks. That's like Staley's expertise. The head coach said it'd be the defense, and it felt like they were so worried about giving up the big play, they just got eaten up alive in the middle a little bit. I don't know. I'm not gonna bash Staley too much for this. Hot seat coach of the week, real quick, since we're talking about it. I think it might be Staley still. Eberflus is probably on there. Staley and Eberflus we're going to do a tie for those two for the hot seat coach of the week. But yeah, I'm not going to bash him too much. It was a weird game offensively. Dan Quinn felt like he got a little bit the better of Kellen Moore slightly. I don't know. Last night felt like a weird game as well. The Chargers basically had the ball the whole third quarter, only managed 3 points. Felt like it did. That last night's game was a weird game, man. I didn't really pull much away from that game as well. I basically feel the same about, they had the ball basically the whole third quarter and got 3 points out of it. I don't get it. I basically feel the same about how I felt about both teams. It just sucks that the Cowboys won because I basically just lost money on it. That's all I felt about last night. Is I paid to watch that game, and I just came out of it feeling the same way I felt going in before it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for all the NFL games themselves. I think I touched on pretty much everything. Yeah, I think I got most of everything that I wanted to mainly hit. Now we'll burn through some news real quick. I'm basically just going to scroll through and see if there's anything I missed real quick. Yeah, like I said, Colts unlikely to return this season. Anthony Richardson's probably not. We'll see. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. The Bengals OC calls struggles unacceptable, so we're going to see if Cincy has some changes to the offense because they just need to get it going a little bit. Leonard Fournette was going to come in on a free agent visit to the Bills. This was going on a little bit this morning, but they canceled the visit just last minute because the Bills were able to keep a guy on their practice squad. One of the Rams' quarterback was arrested for weapon concealment, so we'll see what happens with that. Jets have said Aaron Rodgers' presence is a superpower, which is, I mean, it might be a thing. I mean, that dude does have an aura around him. I mean, you've seen how the Jets have played. The Titans are unsure if Willis or Levis will start if Tannehill is still injured after the bye. So this is a good week that they had the bye week to have because, yeah, like I said, we probably might see one of those two kids next week, and I don't know which one we'll see. Man, the Titans are in really scary territory. Damian Harris, or is it Damian Harris? Yeah, Damian Harris got released from the hospital after a scary neck injury in Buffalo. Man, you want to talk about having a little scare, though. That was truly scary for... just to see it in Buffalo again, an ambulance on the field. Yikes. Like I said, Kyren Williams is going to be out for the Steelers, it seems like, but his ankle injury is not too serious, so hopefully he'll only miss about 1 or 2 weeks, it sounds like. Raiders apparently encouraged receiving news about Jimmy Garoppolo's back. I don't know what it was, though. I still haven't figured out what it... They said they dodged the bullet, so apparently, whatever it was, it's not serious. I don't know. I truly do not know what it is with that guy. That guy's just always hurt at this point, and I can't tell if it's hurt, or if it's just hurt. But I'm not going to touch too much on the situation because if he's seriously hurt, I don't want to be making jokes about it and everything. But Jimmy G, man, I truly don't know. Yeah, like I said, Justin Fields is probably doubtful for the Raiders game this week because of dislocated thumb. The guy's name, by the way, is Thomas Brown. That's going to be probably the new offensive coordinator for the Panthers because he got the play call turned over to him. The 2028 Olympics are going to have baseball and cricket come back. They're also going to debut flag football, which is pretty big for the football expansion that is pretty much happening across the world. Yeah, I won't lie. That might be it for the news. I don't think there's Debo has a shoulder injury. I don't know what's going to be happening with him. I still haven't seen any big news on that, so we might have to talk about that Thursday. I talked about the record that C.J. Stroud lost. Yeah, I think I hit all my big notes. Dolphins apparently, Jalen Ramsey could apparently practice this week. He's way ahead of schedule, which would be really awesome for them to get him back because that would be just another added weapon. Apparently, Mac Jones has a short leash versus the Raiders, but he's in the whole game, so who knows what that means. Yeah, I don't think. They said Kirk Cousins is probably staying with the Vikings. He's not going to leave. That makes sense. Also, something I want to touch on, because, I think. David Njoku, by the way, before I get to the point I want to make, one tough dude, he's recovered. Apparently Deshaun Watson can miss multiple weeks apparently with his shoulder, too. Apparently, this thing is like I talked about last week. There's something seriously wrong with it, so he can miss another 2 to 3 weeks potentially. We'll have to see with that. But yeah, the thing I want to talk about with Dak Prescott, I've been talking about it. By the way, that's the end for the NFL news. We'll talk about college football after I bring up this point. I've been saying I'm just standing on my high horse about how I think Dak Prescott is not going to be there for the Cowboys next year. Turns out it might just be Mike McCarthy. They might have to wait 1 more year on Dak Prescott. I just learned about his money situation. Apparently that guy is owed a shit ton of money next year, like $61 million, I think, in dead cap if they get rid of him. So they ain't going to get rid of him. At worst, they're probably going to bench him next year, if anything. So Cowboys fans, I'm sorry. I was trying to help you guys out, but it seems like Dak Prescott's going to be there for at least 1 more year. You could end up with a new coach, though, so we could still see Dan Quinn take over from Mike McCarthy, but no idea. We'll have to see. But yeah, we'll go into some college action, basically. We'll just finish with some college action, and then some quickly baseball, and then quick betting record update. Yeah, betting-wise, though, horrible weekend for me Thursday and Friday. I had West Virginia Thursday, who, for those of you who don't know, West Virginia takes the lead with 22 seconds left, and then they lose to a Hail Mary with no time left because they get a penalty for some player taking his helmet off. Then they squib the kick for whatever damn reason, sets up the team in amazing field position, and then they throw a Hail Mary. Unbelievable loss by West Virginia. That really hurt. And then they led in the Friday where Colorado, man, blew a 29-point lead. I went to bed at 7-0, hoping I'd wake up with some money. Woke up to depression. That was just like, man, bro. I'm like, 29 points? That one really hurt. That one's a heartbreaker for Colorado. Not only a heartbreaker for Colorado, that hurt my heart, man. I blowing a big lead like that. That's some not only bad coaching, that's bad coaching to blow a lead like that, bad playing. I mean, it was just bad. But yeah, basically, and then after that, we'll go on to Saturday. Notre Dame, baby. Whenever I want to give up on them, I told my buddy, I made the joke with Rowan on his show Friday. I have a poster I made that forever ago that's like a Notre Dame poster. I'm ready to rip it down if they didn't. Then another disappointing game. They were able to win, so the poster still stays alive. They have a big win, 48-20 over USC. I don't know what that's going to make for their new ranking now, but they're 15th now. I'll go over the top 25 as well, real quick at the end of this. That was a big win for Notre Dame. They really needed that after coming off a horrible loss to Louisville, who of course lost to Pitt. I mean, college football, man, it is crazy how the letdown games after big wins, the momentum of the season. College football's crazy, man. Ohio State blows out Purdue. This one wasn't even close. I heard a lot of people talking about how they thought it was going to be close. Made no sense to me at all. Purdue's been bad this year. I did not understand that one. Georgia wins by 17, not 31 over Vanderbilt. That's still a big win for them. Alabama beats Arkansas by 3. That was a closer game. Florida State just absolutely blows out Syracuse. Syracuse might just be bad. I'm going to probably take advantage now. If they play any good teams, I'm probably going to bet against Syracuse, especially if it's a big spread because of that. Rutgers storms back, I think, to beat Michigan State. I think Michigan State was up by a good amount, and they end up losing. That's the only reason I want to bring that up. James Madison, the Wagon baby, they continue to win. They won another game, 41-13, absolutely destroyed Georgia Southern. Indiana went up 7-0. I saw all these boys in the chat like, Indiana money line, that was really easy. In some chat I was looking at, and they didn't score the rest of the game. I do admit, though, something I'm mad about, their team total over for Indiana was 6.5. Really pissed. I wish I would have saw that because I would have 100% given that out and taken that. So that's on me. I feel bad for the people. That's one I should have. That's on me. I should have been on that one. Utah beats Cal 34-14. I don't think that's too shocking. It's just I don't even know Cam Rising played. I doubt it. Yeah, shocker. Cam Rising didn't play. I don't know when that guy's going to come back at this point. TCU blows out BYU. Maryland loses to Illinois. That's a bad one. Illinois is horrible. So the fact that Maryland lost to them after losing to Ohio State, they might be on a little bit of a slide now. Kansas loses a horrible game to Oklahoma State. They kind of blew the lead. I thought they could have ran the ball a little bit better in the second half than they did. I was just disappointed in that. Also disappointed in Jason Bead, man. I watched that guy say, and I quote, "First down, bitch." And then after that, he said that. He threw a red zone interception, threw another interception later. I'm pretty sure fumbled the ball away, and then he failed a fourth down conversion. He ended up I watched him pouting on the sideline as well. If you're the quarterback, man, rule number one, you can't pout. If you pout, man, that's just going to stick through the rest of your team. I mean, they had a chance to get the ball back, too, and I'm watching this kid towel over his head pouting. I knew it was over. Knew the game was over right there. You hate to see it, truly. But, I mean, good win by Oklahoma State. They have the first 100-yard receiver, 100-yard rusher for their team in forever. Florida comes back to beat South Carolina. Penn State absolutely blows out UMass. They got a big game against Ohio State this week. That's going to be an awesome one to watch. Tennessee beats Texas A&M in a close game. Oregon-Washington was probably the game of the day. That was a truly fun game to watch. Washington's able to pull it out. Penix might be the favorite for the Heisman now. Shout out him. He had a game-winning drive. Oregon still covers. Penix had 302 and 4 touchdowns. I mean, it was truly an awesome game to watch. Iowa-Wisconsin, that under was easy. The under was never a sweat. I don't think a single wide receiver caught a pass to either for Iowa, so they continue to be horrible offensively. I mentioned Louisville lost to Pitt after a big game. Washington State got absolutely torched by Arizona. It was 44-6. Washington State, man, what the hell happened there? Auburn blows out LSU. That was a bad pick by me on Auburn. LSU was just way better that game. Kansas beats Texas Tech. Kansas State beats Texas Tech. Air Force beats Wyoming. The Hat Wagon continues to roll. Kentucky loses a big one to Missouri. It was pretty close for a while, and then it was 30-21, and then 20-21 going into the third, and then Missouri scored all 18 points in the fourth quarter. UNC wins big, 41-31 over Miami. Miami, they made it a lot closer than it was. It was 35-17 at one point. I mean, this game was pretty much all over. Oregon State beats UCLA by 12. Man, I'm so sorry for those people who followed my college nasty boy. We almost had a double nasty boy hit this weekend. We missed UCLA. I needed them covered by 10.5. They lost by 12. That was the only leg that missed. Other than that, we would have had a college nasty boy hit and an NFL nasty boy hit. So it was almost. That's why it sucks this weekend ended the way it did, because this weekend had so much potential and it just came up short. Final game: Duke beats North Carolina State 24-3. So I'll basically go over the standings real quick for the top 25 now. Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, Ohio State 3, Florida State 4. Then it goes Washington, Oklahoma, Penn State, Texas, Oregon. Number 10 is UNC. Alabama 11, 12 Oregon State, Ole Miss, Utah 15 Notre Dame, Duke, Tennessee, USC, LSU 20 Missouri, 21 Louisville. Air Force is now in at 22, Tulane now in at 23, Iowa now in at 24, and then UCLA rounds out the top 25. Hey now. But that's probably going to do it football-wise. Very briefly to end the show, we'll go over. I'll go over my betting records real quick, actually. I don't know how specifically I did this weekend. And if NFL-wise, it was like, I think 2-2. College-wise, I think it was around like 3-3 or something like that. It was very middle of the pack. But when it comes to like overall-wise, we do have finally some better records. So Pickem-wise, I'm 58-35. So that's not bad at all. I'm not mad at that. Basically, I want to say I'm like maybe 2 or 3 weeks away from being 2 for 1. So hopefully I can get in sooner rather than later. College record-wise, I kind of slipped slightly, so now I'm 34-32. I'm still up on the year, but I was up. I mean, the record was like 31-27, so it looked a little bit better than it did before. NFL bet-wise, I think I'm 21-16-1 now. I think I only lost the one last night, so still positive on the end. I'm still when it comes to the straights and everything for college and the NFL, I'm still up on the year, so that's really good. Happy with that. Then my nasty boys for college, number 2-5. Man, we should have been potentially 3-5 with a close one there that we lost. And then nasty boys for the NFL, we're 1-13 now, but because we finally got that win on the board, that win covers up a lot of the losses. But But yeah, that's my bet. That's how the betting record's been pretty much. Not too bad at all. Obviously, I have a few more losses and a few more wins of stuff I've taken on the side. Because, like, obviously I can't get on my show and give out a live bet. But for most part, I mean, it's been a pretty good football season. If you followed along with me on the show, you should be up on the year, I believe. I haven't done the exact math, but assuming you bet $20 on all the straights, $20 on all the straights and player props, and you do tens on the nasty boys, you should be up on the year. So we can't complain about it at all. But real quickly to go over the MLB, Phillies take a 1-0 series lead last night after a big win. Rangers are up 2-0 over the Astros. That's gonna be exciting, man. I'm very interested to see what happens the rest of the season in the baseballs. Gonna be a fun one. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. That's probably gonna do it today. Thursday, we're gonna go over my picks for Pickem. We'll go over NFL bets and college bets. I mean, that's pretty much it, man. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. Wild weekend of football action this weekend. We're gonna hopefully it keeps on going. It keeps on enjoying. The football season's been nice. I can't believe we're already about to be on week 7 for NFL, week 8 for college. Time flies, man. It really does, especially when you're having fun. But yeah, we're almost in the college basketball season too. That's wild. The fall's officially here. It's cold outside finally. No more hot weather. Can't believe it's here, man. It's truly football weather. But yeah, I will see everybody back on this feed on Thursday.